Well, a little known strategy to move money from an IRA to a Roth IRA, even when you make too much money. Today, we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for Prudent Money. Good afternoon. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thanks so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. Well, tell me this. Wouldn't you like a little bit of tax-free income? Well, there are ways to get a primarily tax-free income by using a Roth IRA. Today, that's what we're going to be talking about and focusing on and a host of other subjects as well as we get through the program together. In the meantime, if you got a question for me, I want to invite you to go to the website, www.prudentmoney.com. There is a link at the top of the page, Ask Bob. Just go through, click through, send me those questions, and I'll get you taken care of. That's off the website, www.prudentmoney.com. Let's talk a little bit and just kind of refresh our memories on the big, very big, in my opinion, difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. The account is the type of account, let me say it that way, is very important when it comes to, you graduate from high school and you go on to college or you don't. But at some point there, you get to where you land your first big job that leads to career advances and on takes you to retirement. When you get to that point of starting out this journey, you want to make sure that you're using the right investments, the right strategies, as well as the right type of accounts. And that's why I think, and if you're not familiar with this, you will be when we get through this, I think you'll agree with me that the Roth is a superior type of an account for holding and growing retirement money. So this is how it works. You can make a contribution, we say it that way, a contribution to a regular traditional IRA, or you can use a Roth IRA. Here's the big difference. I'll say there's one thing that is similar to both of them, both types of accounts, is that as you grow money in the account over time leading up to retirement down the road, that money grows tax deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes on anything in those accounts until you get to retirement. And that's where they're really different. So let's talk about that. If you accumulate money in a traditional IRA, you're going to get a tax break for that contribution at the beginning of the year, which is pretty good, right? You put in $4 or $5 grand every year, you get a tax deduction for putting that money into a traditional IRA plan. You grow that money at retirement, you start taking the money out, you pay the taxes, and you're done with it. With a Roth IRA, you make contributions after tax, meaning you don't get the tax break on the money that you put into a Roth IRA. That money grows over time, just like with the traditional IRA, except the big difference is that you take the money out of the Roth IRA for tax-free. You don't pay taxes on it. Versus the IRA, traditional IRA, you take the money out, you pay taxes on it. So let me ask you a question. Think about this with me for a second. Would you rather let's say you have $1 million in both, one's in the IRA, one is in the traditional Roth, or the Roth account. And one account, the Roth account, you can take the money out, you don't pay taxes on it, it's tax-free. The other is taxed, and you pay taxes on it. And depending on what the politicians are doing at that particular time determines whether you're paying way too much taxes or whatever you're paying. Wouldn't you want the tax-free income? But what about the tax deduction for the traditional IRA? I think if you look at the size of the benefit of a tax-free income versus the size of a benefit of a deductible contribution to an IRA, that you would agree once again that the contribution to the Roth and the tax-free income is far, far superior. So the question is, how do we get the money and build it inside of a Roth IRA? Well, Roth IRAs, just like traditional IRAs, are very limited to how much money you can put into them. And if you look at their traditional IRA, it's got a little bit less limitations than a Roth. With a traditional IRA, you can put up to the given amount for that tax year and grow it over time. Now, depending on how much money you make, depending on other details, which you would run this by your financial advisor, you might not be able to even get the tax deduction. But you still can put the money, $4,000 or $5,000, whatever you decide to put into it, you can still put that money into the IRA. So there's no question that whether you can utilize the IRA by putting money into it and saving that money. There is a question as to whether you get the tax deduction. With the Roth IRA, it's not about whether or not you get a tax deduction or not. It's whether you get to actually contribute into it or not. And so there are limitations and details you need to run that idea through before you determine that you can put money into it. So there's the limitation with the Roth IRA. You have to fit a certain criteria to be able to participate in using it. Fortunately, there are ways to what's called a backdoor strategy to move money from to contributing money into an after-tax IRA and then move it to a Roth. And actually, that's what it is that the government says, and I'm surprised that they haven't changed this, but what they allow for a taxpayer to do, an investor to do, is put money on an after-tax basis into a regular traditional IRA because you make too much money or whatever the reason is, you can't deduct it, and then convert that money to a Roth. You don't owe taxes on it or anything because you've already paid taxes on it. You can do that for a lifetime and really accumulate a nice bit of money in the Roth IRA, and then get the tax-free income at the end of the retirement. The biggest way, though, to take advantage of a Roth, the IRS will allow you to take a traditional IRA. Let's say you have $100,000 into a traditional IRA. You can convert that money to a Roth. And you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't you do that? The biggest reason is that you would have to pay taxes on the $100,000. Now, that's a large financial liability. You pay $100,000, you convert it from an IRA to a Roth IRA, you pay taxes on it. That's what holds most people back. And I was talking to a very dear friend, and he was looking at his investments and his accounts. He was asking my advice, and he said, "What do you think about? I want to convert this money to a Roth IRA." There was like maybe 2 or 3 million that he was talking about doing that with. Well, you can imagine if he were to convert a $2 or $3 million account, a traditional IRA account, into a Roth, that's a pretty sizable tax bill. So you would definitely have to weigh the pros and cons and make sure you have a really good reason why you're doing it and especially why it makes sense. Now, there is something else that you can do. And by the way, let me say this. I want to circle back around to something that I mentioned a while ago. That is, anytime we talk about the details of these various strategies to invest for taxes, all that kind of thing. What I'm trying to do is plant the idea, plant the seed into the ground. It's up to who you consult with to determine if it makes sense, determine if it's a good idea. I'm just throwing out the idea and hoping that's something that you look into. Not saying, hey, this is what you should do, this is why you should do it. Everybody's situation is different, and you've got to, if I'm talking about ideas, I'm talking about global ideas and not, this is what you should do, because everybody's listening to me, through the weeks, and we talk about money and stewardship. They're all ideas. Whether they're appropriate for you, you consult your financial advisor, or if it's a 401k related, you can also talk with the people who run your 401k plan. So just keep that in mind. One great idea that many parents don't think of is a Roth IRA for kids. Let me talk about how that works real quick before we go forward. Oh, and actually one other Roth 401k plan idea. For kids, you have they can set up a Roth IRA in their name, and they can put back dollar for dollar what they earn. Let's say work in the summer, whatever time of the week of the year that they work, that they earn income. They can put back dollar for dollar up to, I think it's $5,500. I need to look at that again. And they can set up the Roth. Now, can you imagine a kid, a teenager, starting that habit at teenage years and accumulate all that money over all those decades upon decades of years? Great idea, but there's even one better than that. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Stick around, because we'll be right back. Hello, this is Bob Brooks. Proverbs 22:3 and Proverbs 27:12 are the exact same verse word for word. I call them the stewardship verses of risk. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. On the Prudent Money Radio Show, we teach about risk, how to identify it, how to figure it out, and what to do about it. We believe that to be a prudent steward, you have to be a good risk manager. Listen to the Prudent Money Radio Show on Bible School Radio 91.3. Prudent Money, home of the modern-day steward movement.
Dynamic, practical, life-changing.
There's no point in going to church and not letting the Christ who gave birth to the church on the day of Pentecost change your life.
Join us each day as Pastor Paul Shepherd applies the timeless truth of Scripture to everyday life. It's Destined for Victory on this great station.
Weekday afternoons at 3:30 here on Bible School Radio, KDKR.
This is Rob Randall, your host and teacher of the Invisible War radio program. The Invisible War is the study of God's Word on how to walk in Christ's victory in the spiritual battles we face against the powers of darkness. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 right here on KDKR and KYJC in Commerce, your station for life.
Welcome back. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. Well, you know the drill. If you got a question for me, go to the website, www.prudentmoney.com. While you're at the website, please take a moment to sign up for the Prudent Money e-letter, and that way you know when we're posting podcasts and all those good things, and writing blogs and creating content for you to help you be a better steward of what God has given you. Talking about the kids and funding an IRA, such a great idea, because here's the other thing, is that you can have a retirement plan as well as more of a short-term investment plan at the same time, just without the taxes. What the IRA, or excuse me, the IRS rules allow for anybody to do. So when you contribute into a 401k plan, let's say you have $100,000 in that 401k plan, in that Roth IRA, and you have put in $50,000 into the Roth. So 50,000 went into the Roth. 50,000 is what you've gained and what you've grown that initial contribution to. The IRS allows for you to take out the money that you put into the IRA and take it out tax-free. That's a pretty good deal. You cannot do that with the earnings prior to 59 and a half, and or 5 years of converting an IRA, converting an IRA to a Roth IRA. So there are some limitations, but it works out to really be a great deal for your teenage kid or son or daughter when they're they're learning valuable habits. They're saving money, they're investing money, and they're building really a short-term emergency fund as well. So something to keep in mind. One other idea to get money from a traditional retirement plan into a Roth is to put money after tax money, because most of the time when you have a traditional 401k plan, the money that goes into it is pre-tax money. Now, in this scenario, you have to be working for a company that not only allows you to put pre-tax money in, but they allow you to put after-tax money in. And typically people do that because they just want to save money. So it works out to be a really great scenario, because if you have let's say a $250,000 401k plan, you have the choice between putting money into a 401k and into a Roth 401k. And that's a great, and we'll talk about this in a minute, it's a great benefit for your employees. The money that you put into the 401k plan that was after tax, remember, most of the time we put pre-tax, get the deduction. This is money that you've already paid taxes on, and you put the money into the 401k plan. You can take that after-tax money and you can move it to a 401k plan. To a Roth 401k plan. Pretty great opportunity. Once again, if you've accumulated after-tax dollars in your 401k plan, you can convert that on an after-tax basis. Doesn't cost you anything because you've already paid taxes on it, into a Roth, and then let the Roth do its thing, heading towards tax-free income. Not a bad deal. Just to talk to your human resource director about your options, if they allow for after-tax, because you could also stick a lot of after-tax money into up to the limits of the 401k plan and convert it to a Roth down the road. So it works. I think it works out really well. Just some strategies to put money into a Roth IRA. Remember, tax-free, got to be better than taxable. Just the way I look at it. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. If you got a question for me, go to the website at www.prudentmoney.com. Send it in, and I will get you taken care of. That's all at the website, www.prudentmoney.com. I want to throw something out there to the owners of companies, small businesses, whatever, but owners of business entities. If you're offering a 401k plan, take the step forward to offer the Roth 401k plan as well. I think it is such a benefit and a great opportunity for your employees to stash money back to a Roth IRA and get that tax-free income. So many companies, they don't have the Roth IRA. And what I think is a great idea may or may not be a great idea for you. It just depends on what your situation is. Check with your financial advisor. The Roth 401k plan is such a great benefit, though. And what I think is that you have the opportunity, instead of checking the box, got a retirement plan for my employees, put that you've got a traditional 401k with great investments in it, and you've got a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k that your employees can benefit from. Got both. Pretty good deal. Now let me take it a step further. And this is the thing that most employers don't understand, is that just with a little bit of investment, you can get a financial advisor to come out, run workshops. And in fact, I would suggest that most financial advisors who are, been in the business for a long time, that have the knowledge base to do this and have the gift of being able to teach. You certainly don't want a person who's thinking sales, clients. You want somebody with a heart to teach, to come in to the company, do workshops, provide content, teach employees how to be better, more effective with these stewardship dollars that they've been given to manage. And I would suggest it strengthens loyalty, strengthens the relationship between the company and the employer and the employee, and just makes all the sense in the world to do. And you throw in that additional educational piece in there, and I think you've got a great, great benefit. Just food for thought. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thanks so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. So here is one of, there's a lot of crazy things come out of Washington. But I'll read this here real quick before I let you go. The politicians want to limit what you can make in your 401k plan. Sounds socialist plus to me. But there's a bill that I don't think has a chance to pass, well, at least currently. And of course, we don't know what the makeup of the political structure will be till after November. But they pass something like this, it could be unbelievable. Here's what the bill would do. It would apply only to individuals with modified adjusted growth incomes above $400,000 and married couples with incomes above $450,000 who have account balances over $10 million. Believe it or not, there are people who have a lot of money in 401k plans. Those with tax advantage account balances totaling more than $10 million would be barred from contributing to Roth or traditional individual retirement accounts. They would also have to withdraw half. Get this. They would be forced, we'll say that, to withdraw half of their retirement account balance over $10 million annually and pay any taxes due. For someone with $12 million in 401ks and IRAs, the required payout would be $1 million. That is a tax steal if I've ever seen one. If the money is taken from a traditional account, it would produce a federal income tax bill of $370,000. They are hungry for taxes. They want that money. If it is approved by Congress, the proposed law would become effective after 2033. So, some of the things a lot of the things that are going on just make you scratch your head. But that one is definitely an issue. The tax breaks for IRAs and 401k style retirement accounts are among the biggest on the government's books, amounting to about $249 billion in revenue the U.S. government didn't collect tax on 2025. But they're going to collect taxes on it down the road. They want it now, though. Democrats have long tried to curtail how much of these tax breaks go to people holding the largest balances. What I call that is the success tax. If you've been successful, if you've put in the hours, if you've taken the risks, we want to punish you for doing so. That's what they're saying. It's just unbelievable to me that they would have these types of rules. But that's what goes on. In politics, There's, if you look at both parties, everybody they're in charge in Washington. It's a scary proposition as to what is changing politically. Not to get I'm not going to get into that, and I can't anyway because the show's about over. But just food for thought. Keep that in mind as you vote for people. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. Hey, if you got a question for me, go to the website, www.prudentmoney.com. Send it in. I'll get you taken care of. We are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time, keep the faith. Have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.